So today we're going to be talking about how to practice shadow work for beginners. So what is shadow work? When we think of shadow work, we have to ask ourselves the question, what is a shadow? What is the meaning of that word shadow in the phrase shadow work? It sounds pretty spooky if you ask me. In fact, Carl Jung, the late Swiss psychiatrist and psychoanalyst and founder of analytical psychology, said this about the shadow. It is a frightening thought to think that man has a shadow side to him. Not just one of little weaknesses and foibles, but one of a positively demonic dynamicism. Ooh, scary. Jung considered the shadow to be the unconscious mind, or the unconscious aspect of an individual's personality. For example, aspects like repressed weakness or emotion, shortcomings or perceived failures, instincts set in motion by triggers, basically your reaction to perceived negative events. I'd like to think of shadow work as an act of self-love. It allows you to shine a light to the self in order to become more self-aware, which I believe is the first step in a technique I call spiritual self-love. You do this by constantly asking yourself questions like, what area of my life do I avoid? Where have I been practicing self-sabotage? What areas of my life do I consider to be the most dramatic? It is important for you to understand that the less your shadow is embodied in your conscious life, the darker and denser it is in your subconscious mind. Everything starts in childhood. Our childhood is the training ground for emotional conditioning. So right now, what makes you feel safe, loved, secure, understood, accepted, and valued? An even better question is, when do you feel safe, secure, loved, understood, accepted, and valued? And are those feelings aligned with moments and events that are beneficial to your health, your growth, development, and your overall well-being? Because the shadow is the link to a primitive animal instinct that is conditioned and gains its authority in your early childhood. So basically, your reactions to certain events and moments are already preconditioned based on the things you have experienced in your early childhood. After a lecture in Munch, two non-Jungian women approached Carl Jung and told him that great artists surely don't have a shadow. What about John Sebastian Bach? They asked. Jung replied, you should be very thankful that you weren't married to John Sebastian Bach. In history books, John Sebastian Bach is characterized as being saintly because of the beauty of his music. Surely an artist of this magnitude is holy. However, archival sources, including school inspector reports, reveals that Bach's childhood and education was troubled by gang warfare, bullying, sadism, sodomy, and even his own extensive truancy. At the end of it all, it's a family affair. In regards to the areas of your life that you're struggling with now, consider the relationships you have with your parents and significant caregivers over your lifetime. Consider the relationships you have with your siblings. Consider any instance of abandonment, abuse, addiction, and mental illness during your childhood. Consider any significant event from your childhood, and I'll show you where you'll find your shadow. Take, for example, Peter Pan. Peter Pan is the adult symbol for eternal childhood and this appeal to the inner child that eternally dwells within all of us. In the movie Peter Pan, Peter sits outside of Wendy's window every night and listens to her tell stories to her younger brothers about him. Well, one night, Peter Pan is sitting outside the window and his shadow escapes him and sneaks off into the nursery where he stays and Peter Pan leaves. Well, I guess when Peter Pan gets back, he realizes that the shadow is gone. So he goes the next night to find it. And this is where the movie actually comes on. The movie starts with Wendy's parents getting ready to go to a ball or some kind of event. And the dad is having trouble finding like his cufflinks and the things that he needs to go to the ball. So they're running late. So the boys are in the room and they're playing like they're having a sword fight, you know, just imagining that they're in Neverland and, you know, they're Peter Pan. Well, anyway, the father comes in and he's looking for some of his stuff that he needs to get himself together to go to the ball. And the boys are just all over the place. And he was like, you know what, Wendy, I'm so sick of you telling these boys these stories of imagination. It's time for you to grow up. So you're going to be moving out of the nursery. And Wendy is so upset. She's like, no, I don't want to move out of the nursery. I don't want to grow up. Well, anyway, the dad gets mad and said, oh no, it's time to grow up. Anyway, the mom comes in to tuck the boys and her, Wendy, good night before heading out to the ball. And she goes to shut the window. And Wendy's like, oh no, Mom, don't lock the window. And she was like, why ever not? She said, because he may come back. And she was like, who may come back? She said, Peter Pan. And the mom's like, oh, Wendy. She was like, well, he left something here last night, and I'm sure he's going to come back looking for it. So the mom turns off the light, and they leave on their way to the ball. And sure enough, Peter Pan shows up there after they leave looking for his shadow. So shadow matter is sometimes called mirror matter or Alice matter. This matter has a spiritual energy called an energetic field, and most people in the spiritual world call it an aura. In the movie Peter Pan, the shadow is considered a mischievous, demonic entity that resides within Neverland and monitors those who exist within it. The shadow is a human biofield that is multi-dimensional and can extend further into other realms. This shadow connects to these realms by using electromagnetic energy. This is where most energy healing and shadow work takes place. And a lot of people in the 21st century like to refer to this as witchcraft, but not even in this century. In many centuries, they like to refer to this as witchcraft. Why is shadow work important though? The power of your shadow is important in your ability to manifest the life you desire. One, because the increase in the electromagnetic field becomes a manifestation of consciousness into reality. Two, the shadow has the God quality and nature of being omnipresent, meaning it can be in many places at once. And three, the shadow lingers even after you've left a place or your body is no longer living. Use Masaru Emoto's Water's response to emotion experiment in research to observe this phenomenon that occurs in nature. I discuss this a lot when it comes to creating the life you desire, because we can use water to manifest. Many people can't tap into this powerful potential to manifest the life they desire because of limiting beliefs, early childhood traumas, blocked energy systems, or the misalignment of the shadow itself, which we discussed earlier when I asked you the question, when do you feel safe, loved, secure, understood, appreciated, and valued? Like anything in life, shadow work takes continual practice in order to increase the power of its manifestation capabilities. Honestly, shadow work, as mentioned, has a supernatural quality to it. Certain people like to call this witchcraft. But the question is, what exactly is witchcraft? Let's define that term. Witchcraft is a method to which a person performs a ritual that can either heal or harm another person. My focus is on the first of the two. My intentions are only for good. With that being said, a ritual may involve the use of herbs, visualizations, crystals, casting of spells, conjuring spirits, animal sacrifices, and many other things. This is not to frighten you. This is only to inform you of the many ways methods are used in the physical to access the spiritual realm. Overall, witchcraft has been considered to be bad. However, with the bad, there is also good witchcraft, which can be determined by the methods, purpose, and intentions of the person performing the ritual. Shaman, medicine men, witch doctors, and traditional healers have been misrepresented and misidentified as witches because their methods are similar to those who consider themselves to be witches. Leave me any comments that you have down below. I would love to get your feedback, and I do read those comments. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. I appreciate you. And also, if you want to see more videos like these, hit the subscribe, and I'll talk to you next time. Take care of you.